I am the owner of Petrol Age and Energy Age. So I've been with the business for 10 years. So my role is basically working with the all major oil companies, namely Petronas, the government of the US, talking to them about things like what has happened in their BP Macondo accident, how we could do their learning that is aligned to their organization, reducing accidents, helping them to get the oil, helping them to drill what is the assets or the basins that we have. And that covers as far as Europe as well as in Southeast Asia as well. Therefore, how we learn through the oil companies is there are very sophisticated oil companies that ask for things that they want in their end state of their organization. So for the past 7 years, till 2014, we actually went through 2 cycles of the oil price. I'm sure all of you know what was the last oil price in 2014. Anybody knows what's the last oil price in 2014? Hands up. No? Brunei is one of the major oil economy. What was the last oil price? In 2014, before they fall, what was the last one? The last oil price was at 145 USD. In December, it actually dropped to USD, slowly to USD $40 in 2 months. That's a big drop, right? So when that happens, what happened to your institution? Good. Some more? Budget cut. What else? You have challenges in getting approvals for a lot of things. So same to us, we have issues of budget cut as well. So what we do is we decided to think of how we could develop innovative learning. So I'm going to share with you what was the 10 years experience that we did. So I have done short to long workshops. I have sent the major oil companies into very secret confidential trips where they go and see what other shale people are doing before they buy the asset. They have even on the job where they send their top cream of the crop to UK to review all the rocks or all the wells. But when the oil price fell, that's where they start retrenching people. So when they start retrenching people, there will always be a gap. So when that gap happens, the first thing we have in mind is, I'm bedridden for 3 months, and and the best answer I will give a VR headset only. So now I'm going to 3N31.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Adi from Diploma in Petroleum Engineering. So virtual reality, in my understanding, I've tried the virtual reality itself. I don't play any games, but it gives me a good understanding a little bit. So virtual reality in general, I think it brings the environment of areas of studies to your classroom, okay? So rather than bringing students out, let's say my students to the rig, I can bring the rig to the classroom, okay? On top of that, let's say for geologists, I can bring students downhole, correct? Am I correct? Yes. So that means we bring the geological environment into the classroom so students can have a better idea on what geology is about downhole. So it's part of blended learning. So apart from augmented reality, it's virtual reality. That's my understanding on virtual reality. In terms of cost, to go to the rig, offshore rigs, is not cheap. Okay, budget cuts and everything, limited one person on board. Then we can bring students to the rig virtually. Okay, in terms of safety, we actually eliminate the risk of having students in operational hazards. Okay?
So I will not be the judge to give you the answers. So I will ask you to clap for me and let me know which are the best answers in your understanding. So I will not be paying to give the answers. So, number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Goes to number 3. Please come and see done the virtual reality, correct? So basically, this is a research done by different universities, including my big customers in Southeast Asia, namely Petronas. I can share with you this PowerPoint if you like. Basically, it gives you an exposure, like what the lecturer is saying. It gives you areas where you can actually educate the students. So it doesn't matter whether you could be in an oil and gas environment. If you are an instrumentation engineer coming out from the instrumentation, you can do the machine virtually in the office instead of begging the suppliers to give you the machine. So these are things that you can innovate and think about it in the next 1 year. Think about how you can innovate a different way. Not everything can be done on virtual reality, I must say. It has to be a blended learning. It can be done on a face-to-face, or it can be done what you can look at. So basically, what is mobile learning virtual reality? So later on, we will be showing you how a mobile virtual reality can be done. It can be downloaded on your Android and handphone only. Unfortunately, Apple does not allow us to do the programming, so I have to wait for the iPhone 8 launch, hopefully end of this year, to see. The difference between virtual reality is that we are dependent on the hardware. So it all depends on the hardware that you choose to have for your learning. So if you want to do a certain hardware, we need to probably understand what kind of market and what kind of target audience we are going for. The reason why we chose for mobile VR learning is because I have some customers as far as Gabon or as far as Turkmenistan who needed the learning. And how do I put them to them? So based on our research, we decided to put the options of the mobile VR learning. However, if you want a more qualified content in terms of doing more sophisticated things, unfortunately, the mobile learning might not be able to give that to you, but you can create a virtual classroom, like what some of the universities that I've worked with, where you can build that as a hardware and develop it in between classes. So that is actually another area you can optimize it. Any questions? No? I will put this to Anas to answer some of the VR.
Alright, good morning, I'm Anas. So I will just share you on how to adapt VR technology in teaching and learning. Right? So based on the some research that I found, this is from Business Insider. So almost like 65% are interested with virtual reality, and you can see there are more interested part of people that are going to venture into virtual reality, but somehow the limitation is device and of course money, right? And then if you can see, there are some feedback from our customers as well, and then they will say that this will give a different dimension to operate plants in the future. Of course, later I can demonstrate to you. Of course, our part now is more on awareness, but in future we will do the operation side. Okay. So I want to share a bit with you. I've done my internship with Schlumberger in 2015. I was placed doing more on the simulation, right? But I've never haven't been to any kind of offshoring, and of course in Southeast Asia we don't have much onshore. I just stay in the office, and I've not given any chance to be there. And last week I was in Brunei, and then Chai from Polytechnic Brunei bring me around the Syria town, and I am very excited to just even see the ring, right? And the picture was last week in Syria town, right? So there are many speculations that VR will have powerful impact by education by 2020, and I believe that's why Polytechnic Brunei held this kind of symposium to educate with you any other alternative to learning and to conventional learning, right? Another one, I just show you the 360 video. Don't get confused between VR immersive and also 360 video. I'll share with you another video and help me. Okay, so this is a 360 video. Alright, so just yeah. Okay, so in the 360 video, you can just see at one point, and then you just navigate up and down, like that. And being a petroleum engineering student, this is enough for me to get me excited, right? I want to be there, I just want to experience. Is it like hotel? Of course not. Maybe on the food itself. But being here must be so interesting, and I'm not given any chance during the student to actually experience. But somehow, when I found this company in OTC Asia, it gives me an opportunity to learn more and understand better. Right? Okay. So maybe this is how it looks like. Never been to offshore. All those gadgets. Right? Yeah. So just to give you an overview, this is just a 360 video. You cannot actually walk on it. You just can see whatever is around you. Okay. Next. Go back to the presentation. Right. Cannot close. Okay. So today in Brunei, I'll bring you on the actual experience on virtual reality. Right? So imagine you using the VR headset, and then you will get to experience how it goes on the rig, blowout preventer, and the direct itself. I'll show you a live demo.
So back to what I mentioned about mobile learning, right? So on your TV screens close to you, you can actually see a screen of what we're going to do live, where you can actually download the application from the Google Play Store or from the Oculus Store. So Oculus has a store which you can download it with your email and your password. When you purchase it or you make it free available, depending on how you want to do it, you can actually design it and you can download it just like an app. To show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to transport him into the rig floor. So this is actually a game VR whereby there are three main learning objectives. The first objective is to get the user or the person who's learning this to understand what is it like on a rig floor, what kind of danger that you are going to go through. That's the second option. And the third one is to basically understand when you're on the rig floor right now, when you're doing the task that we have given you, what could have actually happened in real life. So in this game, there are 11 hazards. So out of 11 hazards, the students or the users have to identify the hazards, and if they do not rectify it and they make more than 3 mistakes, they are out of the game. So this will allow the student or the user to then go back to the company and read again what is their SOP. In a typical HSE environment or in real life, there's so many deaths and casualties that are done underneath the oil companies, which is not announced or announced. So how do we make this as an assessment for them? You could use this as assessment, you could use this as a part of your learning, how you can develop the tool, how you can make the student learn. Because I just want to see the number of hands up. How many of you agree with me, in my humble opinion, that the younger generation have very low attention span? You mean only half? Why do they have low attention span? Can anyone tell me? What's the reason of the low attention span?
In class. What I find is I've been only teaching for less than 1 month. I think that younger generations have low attention span because most of my slides, to be honest, are static. Even videos nowadays, it's just videos. It's very common. So it's kind of like boring. So the attention span is quite short. With gaming, most young generations are involved and they love gaming and having points and celebrating. So that actually breaks the attention span in classes. I think it's my understanding.
Okay, good. So basically, this game has been tested on 200 engineers, including the full-time as old as 50 and 55 years old. Out of 200, guess how many has actually got it correct? Take a guess. Out of 200 engineers that we tested for the past 1 year, how many of them got it correct? Name, and the engineers are as young as 15 and as old as 50 years old. Take a guess.
20%.
The answer is 1. 1. I'm not kidding you because all the major customers came to me and said, how did you design the game? My answer to them is not easy. I have to think of how the older generation think, because when the older generation, when they do things every day, they take things for granted. Correct? When you put it to the younger generation, they get frustrated because they cannot complete the task. So when you put it to a mid-year generation, the mid-year generation can see things. But when I tested with all the 200 engineers, the only one who got it was a very old man who's actually retired at the age of 55. Somehow, I don't know how he get to see the wrist on the top of it, because when he's on the VR, he was like, oh, I saw the wrist on the top. And I said, oh, okay, so he won one. But most of it, basically, only 9 correct. Okay, so I just want to let you know in my experience that you can design a gamification on the VR or any kind of learning, but make it a little bit harder for the younger generation to think. Because if the younger generation doesn't take it as easy, then they will not start coming to us and asking questions. Okay? Right, so...
So just a quick one. So if I use this while I'm still a student, right? Of course, it is a safe operation for me. I can get to practice limitless again and again and again. And maybe if you want to go offshore later, you can practice until nearly perfect, right? And then it's immersive. You can actually feel, if you use Oculus, you can actually feel the vibration. Maybe if you hit something and it will vibrate. And then sometimes, even at the symposium or exhibition that I've attended, they tried our VR and some of the people is actually moving. I mean shaking. Because your brain and your movement is not syncing. Right? So it's a bit confusing, but somehow you can understand better and accelerate your understanding. And then cost saving, you can save on your travel cost. And then in this cost saving, maybe in terms of geology, if you cannot go to the well site or geology site, you can also use VR and experience whatever around you, right? And then I'll pass back to Malina. And virtual reality can be done individual and to a class.
So for those who are from the engineering faculty, you can actually design your own machine depending on what typical machine you're looking for. I believe in the current economic state right now, it's very difficult for us to get from suppliers on their machines because the machine can cost like $4 to $5 million, right? So now I would like you to have this as a take back when you go back. Have a thought, go to these suppliers and tell them, how can I get the drawing of your equipment? Because I've done it. How I get this, basically, I took the drawing of the equipment and I did some conversions with my developers team. And the result is wonderful. But of course, what you convert is what you're going to get on a static equipment. But of course, when you start to open it up, when you start to do things, and that's where you work with the suppliers, you work with the VR developers like ourselves or anyone else to give the result that you need. So this is my sharing, that at the end of the day, when you go back, have a thought what you want to do for your classes. You don't have to do it now, you can do it in the next 3 to 6 months. But if your subject has any machinery, do not have to beg them for it. Most importantly is get them to ask about their designs and stuff, because the benefits for their side is basically their branding and whatever work that you can do. So this is actually a VAF. The other thing is, I know geology is not offered in Polytechnic Brunei, but if you can share it with the other people in the faculty. Geology is a very unique position that is actually, right now there's abundance of them. But to view as much of outcrop in Brunei, I haven't seen one yet, so maybe one day when I see it, I hope to film them and digitalize it. I have successfully digitalized a UK outcrop, and the result has been really good, and it has got us to open doors with the major oil companies, because everyone is struggling with the photographic static image. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. These are the testimonials from our customers that we have compiled. So every technology that we demo, we always request for them to have feedback. So if you want to review the feedback, please feel free to ask the PowerPoint from us, and we are happy to share with you the statistics or any other information. And lastly, based on Anna's presentation, I think he has shown you a 316. He has shown you what's an immersive VR. And I believe what I've actually tabled out to summarize for you are three things. What conventional teaching are videos, photographs. Now all the younger generation can go to YouTube, Vimeo, all kinds of videos. And now the 360 videos are also in there. So how we as educators be a little bit 5 steps forward in terms of curriculum design, in terms of what we can do. So you can do a lot of things by doing things in mobility, in a different perspective, as well as the platform that you use. Any questions? At the same time, we also have e-learning, because not all e-learning, not all can be mounted on VR. So we also offer e-learning modules for those who are interested, so we also have that. And other than that, I have finished my presentation. Thank you for your time, but before that, any questions? If not, I'll move over to the next speaker.
Thank you again. That was Ms. Malina and Mr. Anas.
In terms of how marketable they are going to be for the workforce. So for example, right now, for the past 5 to 10 years, including the University Technology of Petronas, they are having challenges in terms of building the modules that are making them marketable. But for the past 2 years, my work with them has been really significant, because out of all the universities in Malaysia, their engineers or the people who graduated are the most sought after, because the way they design their internship is not 6 months, it's 9 months. And it's all aligned towards the businesses, and each time the companies in Malaysia or even the overseas actually nab them due to the way how they do the curriculum.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Malina and Mr. Anas. That takes us now to our second speaker, Mr. Abdul Walid bin Miskin, Head of the English Language Department with